Hi, I'm Bass Fox. Welcome to today's video, which is about the Clean Pedal by Bliss. And this time we're going to do things a little bit differently. Normally I start the Bass Fox videos playing the bass, right, with the mask on, and you're using some sound from the pedal, and then I go on to describe the pedal features while playing it with the bass. But this time I got so excited about this thing as a complete studio tool because it's got stereo I/O, it has sidechain, it has a whole bunch of other features beyond what you'd expect from a compressor. So I ended up using it to complete a song, including drums, keys, guitar, and the bass. It turned out to be the more exciting part of the video, so we're gonna start with that. So watch this as I compose an entire song using the Clean Pedal on every track, on every single instrument. And then, if you're still interested, you can watch me play the bass and check out many of the different features. Not all, because this thing is infinite, but we'll check out a whole bunch of different sounds and features that you can get out of it for use with the bass specifically, right? But that would be at the end of the video. There's an index below. If you want to skip to that, you can, but I do recommend you check out the song that I produced using the Clean Pedal to process every single track, and here it goes. All right, so let's make a full song using the Clean Pedal for every single instrument. We're gonna go with drums, bass, guitar, and keys. And the keys are going to use the special sidechain feature. So I'm going to use the kick drum from the drums to use the clean in stereo mode with sidechain engaged to lower the keys whenever the kick drum hits, right? But first things first, we got to record the drums. So I'm going to come over here and record myself playing old drum set. All right, so let's record the bass now. I'm going to be using my 1984 Japanese Squire jazz bass. And we're using my preset number 2, which is just a simple compression. I'm removing a little bit of high end with the EQ. I've got mid attack, mid release, fairly high compression. Actually, the sensitivity is not where you see it. It's where the preset is set, which is more like somewhere in the middle. All right, let's do this thing. Yes, baby. All right, let's put down some keys now. I found the suitable pad on my Yamaha CK61, and we're gonna run this through the clean in stereo mode, sidechaining it with the kick drum from the drums so that the keyboard ducks on every kick hit. Let's get on with it. All right, let's try a little guitar now. I've got my Telecaster going straight into the Clean Pedal here, and this time I have it hooked up in stereo. So I turned on the MISO, M-I-S-O, mono input, stereo output, dip switch back here. I also turned on spread and motion. So I'm using that nice Tremolo EQ thing going on here. I put on the physics. So we get the double tremolo, right? Both a volume, like the compression acting, as well as the EQ moving, and both of them in stereo. So this is some craziness here with the guitar. It's going to sound really nice on this song. So let's try it out. All right, so now we're going to do something exciting for the producers out there. The clean pedal has a sidechain input right over here, and it works in stereo. So I'm sending it a stereo output from my audio interface with just the keyboards. I'm sending the kick drum into the sidechain over here, and we're getting the stereo output back into the interface and recording that into a separate track. Let's check it out. We're going to create a ducking effect on the keyboard sound controlled by the kick drum using the clean pedal as way more than a guitar pedal, as a production tool. So cool. All right, so now we're going to process the drums with the clean pedal. Again, it's a stereo input, stereo output pedal, so it's perfect for use as a physical plug-in type of thing. And it's very expressive, interesting compression compared to most traditional rack units. So definitely a fun device for what we're about to do. I'm going to hit record over there and just going to play around with settings here. All right, so I played around a bit with the EQ, with the tilt EQ, made it brighter, made it darker. I played around with the dynamics. Again, going all the way up makes it sag, so it's like the inverse effect, where it's making the soft parts loud and drowning out the loud parts. I played around with the sensitivity, with the attack. So having a slower attack lets more of the initial transients go through, and you get this punchy sound. Making it a very fast attack, you get a more squished sound, more sustained. So very interesting, very, very expressive, very creative, cool way to use compression as extreme processing, as an extreme effect, not just as a clinical studio tool. You can do that too. You can use this for that as well. But I think the fun part, let's try with the distortion. Now there's the dusty mode here. I'm going to try and see if it adds character, if it's interesting, or if it's too much. So let's check that out now.
the end there I used the left side of the mode switch for the EQ, which makes it into an envelope EQ, which is pretty interesting. So yeah, this is the dirty sound from the clean pedal, as I've said before. I'm not going to touch it anymore. I'm just going to let this record. Now we're going to do one last take with the clean sound, so no dusty off. Alright, so now I'll mix it and you'll get to listen to the final result. The song is going to be called Chasing Your Bliss, and I invite you to write your lyrics to it and record over it because I'm too lazy to do it. So please help me with that. There's a hole the size of a top line missing in this song. It's basically just the backing track for somebody to play a scorching solo over it or record some cool vocals. So have fun. This is the Clean Pedal by Chase Bliss. It's a creative compressor, you could call it that, but it's so much more. I mean, for being such a small footprint with no display or anything like that, it's really unbelievable all the things that this thing can do. I often say it could be the only pedal that a bass player might need because it has compression, it has balanced outputs, it has simple tilt EQ, so you could condition your sound to be very clean and beautiful and stable with only this pedal. But beyond the utility aspect of a compressor like this thing has so many wonderful creative features. The idea behind the clean pedal was to make a clean sound as fun and interesting as a distorted sound. So it adds things such as sag, for example, that you normally would only get with a tube distortion or a tube distortion simulation. Well, here they were able to implement it into a clean sound. So let me list a few of the features that this pedal has. First of all, it has stereo I/O. You can either use a mono signal as an input or a stereo signal, which means you can use it for drum machines or any kind of stereo, a synthesizer, or maybe another pedal you have that generates a stereo chorus or anything like that. You can use it, but you can also use it in mono. And it has the stereo output as well. And it takes full advantage of that stereo output with features such as dynamic EQ modulation that you can set to move in the stereo field. It also has physics that affect the amplitude in the same way. So you can create some beautiful stereo tremolos that are not just volume based, can also be EQ based, because of the fact that this thing has a stereo output. It has 3 types of compression based depending on where the position of your dynamics knob is, right? So you can have like regular, just VCA based compression up to about the middle point here. From here on it becomes a limiter, so it's much more squashy, radical compression, and then at the very end it does the sag, which is really interesting. It inverts. Not only does it reduce your dynamic variation, it actually inverts it so that when you play loud it sounds softer than when you play soft. And that can be really interesting and creative effect. It has a noise gate. It's engaged right now. So this is a old school vintage jazz bass that should be very noisy when I'm not touching the strings, and you can't really hear any noise. It has a sidechain input over here on the side. It has a mini plug sidechain input that you can use to create a ducking effect. So this is a studio tool as well, not just a pedal for guitar or bass. You can really use it in the studio as your main outboard analog compressor. It's a fully analog signal chain, but it's digitally controlled, which means you can have presets. So you might be thinking, wow, with all these options, how do I use it live, right? What if I want, for one song, I want to have that nice stereo tremolo, but for another song, I just want it to be a regular compressor. And then for a third song, I want it to actually distort. Yes, it does have distortion. It's called the clean pedal, but it has a dusty mode. And a lot of these modes are accessible via the dip switches in the back here, right? The presets actually save your dip switch settings. So that's what I mean by digitally controlled. Anything really on the panel can be saved to either the left preset or the right preset. And in the middle, this is the preset switch over here. When it's in the middle, it's just whatever's on the panel, whatever settings you set. So normally I create two presets that I like, one with a little distortion, one that's just a basic compressor, and then I use the middle one for the more creative stuff, and I can go back and forth between the three during a performance. It has a swell function as well. So that's what this second switch is normally used for. You step on it and it creates a volume swell for your sound. Like when you're using your pinky to raise your volume, you play a chord and you raise the volume. That's what this does by just stepping on the pedal. It has the tilt EQ. The tilt EQ can become a dynamic EQ as well, so almost like an envelope filter, right? And it can do this tremolo modulation. It has a physics switch over here. Depending on what you have set in the dip switches in the back, it can be a volume tremolo, but it can also add this kind of glitchiness, this kind of almost random tonal variation. You can control it externally as well. There's an input here as well for an expression pedal or external CV from a modular synthesizer, for example. And you can also control it via MIDI. It has a MIDI auxiliary jack over here. And all this left section in green over here on the dip switches is where you assign control to different parameters, right? And all of that is detailed in this beautiful recycled paper illustrated manual here. So all analog signal path, two-stage compression, physical two-stage because it has a limiter at the end as well, and that limiter is what becomes the distortion. When you turn the dust on, the output limiter becomes a drive. It has physical modeling, so it's the organic fluctuations of a wobbling spring, and that's when you use the physics switch over here. True stereo feed-forward blending is when you're doing the limiting over there. Emphasis filtering, cassette style noise reduction, dynamic EQ, adaptive envelope follower. There are hidden modes that you achieve by pressing both buttons, right? So when you push both foot switches, these knobs change function and you can change hidden parameters that are not available in the front panel. Of course, this is just on and off. Right, so right now I did the little intro using the tremolo, the stereo tremolo sound, right? But why don't we start from the basics and have a quick look at the compression modes. So I'm going to turn the motion dip switch off as well as the spread dip switch. The EQ mode right now in the left, now it's a mono tremolo with the EQ, right? And I can change the orientation as well, right? But if I put the mode in the middle, then this is just a tilt EQ. I can make a very nice spongy low sound, right? Or I can make it very bright, like filtered. And right now I have the physics on. You can hear that little like spring-like dynamic fluctuation of the volume there, but we're going to turn physics in the middle as well. So now we're going to put the tilt EQ back in the middle and have a look at the compression controls, which are attack, release. So attack is continuous. You can have a fast attack for more like a sustained kind of a sound. You can have a slower attack if you want to let that initial transient pass by and have a punchier, more percussive sound, right? Now the dynamics is how strong the compression effect is going to be, right? So the entire first half of the knob is just basically the ratio of compression. So you can have it all the way left and it's not doing anything, and you can see the LED here that indicates the compressor activity doesn't even light up, right? As I turn this up, you start seeing it light up. The sensitivity is basically the threshold. So if I set a low sensitivity, that's a high threshold, and again, it's not even acting. As I turn this up, with, I can play very soft and already it's compressing. Now, once you pass beyond the middle of the dynamic section here, then it becomes a really like squashy limiter, where I play loud and it kind of maintains that same volume level for a while. What happens though is when you play really loud, it's a brighter sound, right? And as it brings the volume up, as my sound starts to decay, the sound naturally becomes darker, so you can hear it get bassier, get boomier. As the time passes. Check it out. So it acts almost like a dynamic EQ swell kind of a thing, right? Now, when I go past this section all the way to the end of the dynamics control, then it becomes sag. So sag is the opposite. It inverts your dynamics. So that means whatever sounds you make that are loud are going to sound soft, and soft sounds are going to sound loud. It's different than the normal compressor that's just reducing the dynamic range. What this is doing is inverting the dynamic range. So, right, I play loud and you don't hear it. And as it gets soft, if I play really soft, you can hear it. And then when I play louder, that sound goes down. And that's what sag means, and that's something that happens naturally in tube amplifiers when they're overdriven. And before now, you couldn't really get it. In a clean sound. So that's super cool, right? Now let's go back to a more traditional setting here and have a look at the EQ. When you turn the mode switch to the right, it becomes a tremolo that's controlled by the attack over here, right? And right now we've been using a fast release here, but there's mid and slow as well, right? Now when I turn the EQ mode to the left, it becomes dynamic EQ. The loud sounds right now sound bright. As they get softer, it becomes darker. So it's almost like an envelope filter. And of course it responds to the sensitivity and the dynamics. Well, everything interacts, right? Right. If I live in the middle, again, I can just make slight tweaks to my overall sound. Like if I'm at a venue that sounds super boomy, I can cut off some of those lows and using that tilt EQ. Or if it's not low enough, go the opposite direction. physics adds this kind of very subtle glitchiness. Volume variation right there. And it becomes more extreme as I turn the dynamics control up. Now let's check out the dirt, which is the distorted sound. We can turn on Dusty over here. Actually, it's called Dusty. I've been calling it dirt. So this converts the outboard limiter into a drive, right? And the EQ works too. Envelope filter effect. In conjunction with the Dusty. It's a really nice overdrive for bass. Actually, I have a preset that's the Dusty preset here. This is my main, like, just compressor sound, right? And then on the left side, I have my Dusty. I've been exploring this pedal for 2 months and I still haven't discovered everything that it does. I'm sure there are other videos out there that go more in depth into every single detail about its operation. I'm not gonna do that here. I just wanted to give you an introduction and an idea of all the things that it can do, some examples of what it can sound like.
All right, so excuse the awkward editing. And I decided after the fact to change the order of things. So, you know, what I initially meant to be the ending is no longer the ending and so on. So I'm recording this little outro as I'm editing the video. Just to thank you for watching, to thank Chase Bliss for sending me this pedal and trusting me with introducing their gear to a bass and production audience. And that's it. Please subscribe. Bass Fox channel is young, so it needs more love, more subscriptions and comments and likes and so on. So if you like this kind of content, please help out. And that's it. See you soon, and feel the vibration. Now where's the there we go. Bass Fox.